I've only been in Bali 5 days and I already feel blissed out. I've had 4 massages, 2 meditation sessions, 1 surf lesson, 2 yoga lessons, and a 4.5 hour pampering session. I kid you not. And I totally needed this because the last month or 2 has been pretty cray-cray. As you may remember in my previous episode called Changing Plans, there's been quite a few plans that have been changed, including now owning a lifestyle property and getting a puppy for my birthday. Yes, my lovely man Josh has gone ahead and put a deposit on a white German Shepherd. So when I get back to New Zealand on April 5th, it's going to be all go, moving into the house, getting it furnished, setting up our new base, and waiting on the puppy. So that's part of the reason why I was content to go hard out on the organising, planning, doing, and making shit happen on all fronts back in New Zealand, because I knew I'd be having this relaxed time in Bali, and of course my upcoming business sabbatical starting April 1st. If you've never been to Bali, let me just tell you this island has a very special energy to it. It's actually renowned for being a vortex of feminine energy. So for females in particular, when you're here, you have this sense of being grounded, feeling strong, sensual, and in your feminine power. And everywhere you look, there are lush trees, green rice fields, beautiful flowers, street dogs, friendly Balinese people smiling, scooters whizzing by, yoga studios galore, cute cafes, healthy juices, and many relaxed-looking foreigners who are whiling their days away doing not a lot of anything much. Which is why Bali is the perfect island to come and unwind, de-stress, and lose yourself, or find yourself, depending on what you're here to do. Oh, can you hear the gecko? I love that sound. But obviously we don't all have the opportunity to bugger off to Bali when we feel like it, do we? So it got me thinking, why can't we have a mini vacation each and every day to get some of the same effects of a longer vacation? Why do we have to book in holidays months and for some people years in advance? And why all this waiting when we have the power and ability to take a break right now? In a Huffington Post article by Jill Ferguson, she lists the benefits of vacations as reduces stress. As I can attest to, vacations help shrink stress and anxiety while boosting the mental and physical health of you and your entire family if you happen to be vacationing with them. Helps your heart stay healthy. No, really. In a 20-year study, researchers found that women who took a vacation once every 6 years or less, who does that, were almost 8 times more likely to develop coronary heart disease or have a heart attack than women who took at least 2 vacations per year. Improves your mental health, especially if it's longer than 2 weeks, because you're less tense, you have higher energy levels and more positive emotions, fewer negative feelings, and less depression. Improves your relationships, because families or couples who vacation together undergo shared experiences, communication, and togetherness. They have escape and relaxation and experiential learning, all of which contribute positively to well-being and to relationships. You may have heard me talk about taking a midweek weekend. Why wait for the weekend to experience one? But what about a daily vacation? That's a novel thought, right? I dug into this idea with my dear friend Jamie Masters of Eventual Millionaire fame, who has a fantastic podcast, who's here with me in Bali. Now, we planned this holiday together in late 2016 when she found out she got asked to speak in the Philippines just before my Freedom Mastermind retreat I hold in Bali each year. So this was our window of time to fly into Bali at the same time and enjoy 9 days together, and we are doing that extremely well. Jamie is a single mother of 2 with an extremely successful and busy coaching and mastermind business. She's also a self-prescribed geek when it comes to maximizing time efficiency and more recently biohacking, which is do-it-yourself biology optimization, so to speak. Or as Jamie puts it, how to be a badass. So here's our jam session on how to optimize your day and also how to take mini vacations through a variety of suggested activities we do and that we also think should be on your list. Now, caveat here, Jamie is an awesome podcast interviewer, so even though we were just jamming on this, it kind of turned into a little bit of an interview style jam back and forth. I hope you enjoy it. So this is exciting. We are recording this in our lovely little room in Ketut's place in Bali, in Ubud, and there is thunder and lightning happening and rain. This is cool. So I'm sitting on the bed, as you do, with my girl, Jamie Masters, and we've been talking a lot over the last couple of days about treating yourself, because yesterday we had a 4.5-hour pamper session, thanks to Jamie, an early birthday present, and it was amazing. And I was like, why don't we do this all the time? Right? We were like that.
Definitely.
And then I think, actually, if you did that all the time, you'd just be in bliss zone and you wouldn't get anything done.
I think it'd get boring after a little while.
Yeah, but it was pretty amazing. Like, we had several massages, we had a facial, we had pedicures, manicures, head massage, hair treatment, body scrub. Like, it was, and I was in and out of states of bliss, in and out of state of sleeping, dreaming, imagining, ideating. It was beautiful. But what I want to just chat to you about, because I think you're really good at this, with your full-time roster of amazing clients that you coach over at Eventual Millionaire and in your business, and your full-time podcast where you're interviewing millionaires all the time. I mean, you have one of the busiest schedules I know of, plus you're a mum, full-time mum. So do you want to just share a couple of the ways you treat yourself throughout the day? Because I think you do this really well.
So first of all, anybody that says that they don't have time means that they don't want to. There's a great Lao Tzu quote about that. And so out of everybody I know, I'm extremely busy. So we even need that time times 10, right? Because we go crazy and nutso. And when you get on that roll, you're not efficient or effective in anything you do. So lessons learned from me sort of going a little insane with children and my business and everything else has led me to actually taking the time with in between, even 15 minutes of going, this is just for me, and I don't have to do anything else. So we talked about meditation before, so I definitely do. I meditate a lot in sometimes small spurts. So if it's like I literally was just meditating for 15 minutes while you were on the phone, right? Just now, because I feel like it gives me a deeper state of relaxation than me just sort of laying there. But I do that throughout the day quite often, even at home in between calls. But just trying to take that time where you can actually shut off whatever your crazy entrepreneur brain is and go, okay, this is time that I don't actually have to think about that. Because otherwise we will. Our brain will just keep going forever and ever and ever. You know? Yeah. Right? You know what it's like? Yeah. And so trying to pull those pieces out as best you can. You know what I mean?
And I think we started discussing this from the minute I landed in Bali, and I think you did too. We both come off some pretty hectic schedules, me with house buying and packing up and book writing and helping my mum move, and you with speaking in the Philippines and having to do all your work around that as well. And I think we both got to Bali and we were just like, and I just noticed instantly how my mind just quietened. And I've done more yoga and massage in the last 2 days than I have probably in the last months. So why don't we roll through, like, kind of spitfire out some of our favorite at-home mini vacations we take during a pretty busy working day?
Okay, so for me, I have a routine at the beginning. So I literally wake up before my kids wake up now.
So what time is that?
So 5:30, 6 in the morning. Eek, yay.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
As much as Hal Elrod told me to wake up in the morning, I was like, no, I don't think so. It literally, that has only been the last 4 months or so. Beforehand, I would meditate right after I brought them to school, but I realized that it wasn't quiet enough for me, and I kept feeling like I had too much to do throughout the day when the kids were at school. So I moved it, and so far so good, going strong. But I'm not a morning person. I know. Wow. Super.
If you have any of this is real Bali in the background, just making it real. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Let's hope we have power. So air conditioning. So that was number one. So that was, and that was an evolutionary process. I have been meditating for a very long time, and I was never like, I have to meditate every day. It just, I wanted to and wanted to and wanted to. So that's something that I pull out. But I also do probably 5 to 15 minutes in between whenever I'm feeling that,
Stop styling up on me. I'm getting a bit overwhelmed.
Exactly. Overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh. Or brain dead. So when you do a lot, I batch everything. And so whenever I do client calls, sometimes I'm like, okay, my brain's not functioning like it should. And being in states of flow are way more productive in general. So I try and figure out what ways. There's a good book called Stealing Fire. It talks about hacking into the flow state that I was telling you a little bit about. What can we do that makes us feel so much better that we can come back and hit the ground running instead of just feeling harried and crazy, because we were talking about this before too, like all day long, nutso. Yeah. And so I'll do that. I have a pool in the back. Sometimes when it's nice out, I'll go jump in the pool and like sort of reassess things. Just trying during the day when I'm actually working, it's tough, but at nighttime, I'll definitely go, this is my time. I'm going to go have a bubble bath. I'm going to do whatever I can possibly do to turn that piece off, because we don't make a conscious effort in general to turn it off,
Bubble bath, so good. I'm looking forward to potentially buying a spa and having a spa pool for nighttime relax. I like the idea of a sauna. Whether you go to one, often gyms have a sauna, and just even 10 minutes in there sweating it out and just being present with your body is pretty amazing. Ooh, it's a crazy bird. You guys might not be able to hear this, but trust us. Other things are just dropping down into a 15, 20 or 30-minute yoga session during the day. And I love starting with, I'll just do 5 minutes of downward dog, because it ultimately ends up being a lot more. And just giving yourself that space. I also, when I have a dog, which I'm getting soon, I would just have cuddle time with my dog. Like, I'd literally have playtime. Go outside, throw the frisbee, throw the ball, play. If you've got kids around, you grab them, play.
Well, and that's the funny thing. So sometimes I'm so back to back, I like walking to the mailbox is like my time. But I literally go, okay, I need some sun. I'm going to go walk outside, because I literally only have like 5 minutes and I literally am so scheduled. And so no matter what the time is, it doesn't matter. I think it's the intention behind it that makes a huge difference. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you can play with your dog and be like, oh, that still didn't really help. Yes. But if you're really intentional about it, makes...
Throw the phone away for a minute. Put down
as
the
hard as it is.
things.
Yeah.
Get back to nature. Sometimes just actually being outside and getting the sun on your face is a really beautiful thing, that just tune into the sounds around you.
I go and I lay, and so in my backyard I have the pool, and I will go and lay on the bed and just be like, because we have an outdoor bed, just like sit there for 5 minutes and not even have to do a meditation or anything like that, but just sort of soak in the sun.
The vitamin D brush.
Sometimes I need that big time. Yeah. And then being able to sort of go, now I reset, now I can go back in.
Yes.
Very helpful.
We should caveat this with the fact that you're very efficient with your time. So it's not like you ever say, I'm really busy. You're fulfilled. You are busy. But I think you as you said, you batch. Do you want to maybe talk people through kind of your working week, so that they do hear that you have time off and time out, and you're really good at, we didn't even mention it, you get regular massages. Oh yeah. So do I. But you get them every single week, yeah? And I think if you can, you should, even if it's a half an hour.
So this is the thing. I kept going, I don't have the time because I have kids and I can't, when can I get a massage when I don't have them? Well, I have to work during the school. Anyway, all that craziness goes on in your head. Let me just say, everybody can solve every problem pretty much. So my massage person comes in at their bedtime. My kids go to bed. The massage person comes in, and I literally get to go to sleep right afterwards.
They come to your house.
They come to my house. Mm-hmm. It's not any more expensive either than going to. So it's perfect, and they'll do it at 9 o'clock at night, which is insane.
And then you just go to sleep.
I just go to sleep. It's the best ever. So it's amazing. But because I am so scheduled or so intentional with my time, because this is the thing too, it's not like I don't take time off with the kids especially. It's that I have to be super effective whenever I'm doing whatever I'm doing, because I got a lot of things going on. So a typical schedule for me, and I make my clients do all this, I call it a master schedule. Mondays are meeting days, back-to-back meetings, literally, with my masterminds, with my personal scrum for my team. Tuesdays are coaching days. Wednesdays, every other Wednesday is an interview. So either back-to-back Millionaire interviews or back-to-back me doing interviews on other people's podcasts. And then the rest of the week is free. Love it. Quote unquote free. So it's working free. So within the time that my kids are in school, which they get out at 3:30, then I have open space that I can I usually fill everything in advance, because I'm one of those people. But usually when I have the kiddos, I'm done at 3. And then I don't work again. Unless it's a crazy lunch and I have to make an exception. But in general, it's while I'm still quote unquote busy, it's me going for a walk with the kids. Or I try and get some of the more special, relaxing kind of time with them. Not that I don't have to do homework, not that I don't have to do, all the other stuff. But it's just trying to have that space within the confinement.
All right, hopefully you have some firm ideas on how to take a daily mini vacation. To recap, short bursts of exercise. So dance, walk to the mailbox, have a dip in the pool, play with your dog, drop down and do some yoga. Treat yourself. Have a massage or sauna at home, or book it in at your local. Read a book. Jump in a hammock. Laze on your bed. Lie on the floor. Curl up in the couch. throw your phone away and disconnect the internet for 30 minutes, then enjoy your fave book. That's exactly what you do on holiday, right? Pleasure yourself. Did I really just say that? Heck yeah, I did. Have a quickie with your partner. Grab your fave sex toy and take a moment to, have some fun. Or grab your partner and kiss them passionately. It releases endorphins, which are feel-good hormones, and everyone needs those. Plus, you do that stuff on vacation, right? So this is a mini vacation. And meditation. I'd like you to refer to episode 2, Mind Your Mindfulness, for a 1-minute one that was included. They say meditation can be better than sleep and sometimes sex, so I think it's time to really take this one seriously. Before we bring back Jamie, she's been delving into meditation for almost a decade, but has upped her game in the last year with amazing results. Let's say hello to FreshBooks. The working world has changed. With the growth of the internet, there's never been more opportunities for the self-employed. To meet this need, FreshBooks is excited to announce the launch of an all-new version of their cloud accounting software. And it's sexy. It's been redesigned from the ground up and custom built for exactly the way you work. Get ready for the simplest way to be more productive, organized, and most importantly, get paid quickly. The all-new FreshBooks is not only ridiculously easy to use, it's also packed full of powerful features. Here are just a few of the ones Jessica Broom, entrepreneur and FreshBook customer, loves the most.
I do all my expenses in there. I use the app on my phone, and I have a little ritual. Like every time I get on a plane, while I'm waiting for the plane to take off, I will do all my expenses from that day with all my receipts from the airport or whatever. I like that I'm able to do expenses in all different currencies and instantly on my phone. So I never have that get back from a trip and have, 7 days of receipts build up. I think the time tracking is great. Sometimes, rarely, but occasionally will bill hourly, and I like being able to just track my time to the minute and then have it convert right into an invoice.
That's super cool. Yeah, I really love that. So your clients always know you're being truly legit with what you've done.
Truly honest.
Yeah. Go to freshbooks.com/quest and check out their full list of amazing features. Then sign up and save yourself time and money today. Just enter Quest for Freedom where it says, "How did you hear about us?" I'd really appreciate it, and so would they. Okay, let's dive into meditation. So on a couple of the previous episodes, I've been talking about meditation. And I have to say that I think we've only just scratched the surface on this, and I'm going to be doing a lot more work around this. But having chatted to Jamie over the last couple of days intensely around her meditation practice, I've seen this different side to it. So I think I've always sat on the surface going, well, if I can just get 5 or 10 or 15 minutes a day, I know the benefits of meditation. But I wanted to bring Jamie back because she's just sort of opened my mind and blown my mind with the routine and the practice and the intention behind her meditation and how much that's impacting everything else. So I haven't seen Jamie for a year and a half, and this time round seeing her, I turned up and I was like, oh my gosh, you're just more grounded. So here's a little conversation we had about her meditation. So who's this Joe Dispenza guy that you keep going on about?
Okay, so I've been meditating for a really, really, really long time, and then I became a disciple. No, I shouldn't say disciple. So the reason why I found Joe is because I had injured my foot, and he wrote a book called You're the Placebo, and I didn't want to have foot surgery, so I was going all in.
Very provocative name.
Right? I know. It's so good, though, right?
Yeah.
I am. Whoa.
Ooh, the thunder likes it.
So that's the thing. It was for the problem solution piece of it. I'd always meditated. I didn't even know his whole thing was about meditation.
How did you find him?
My best friend gave me the book.
Ah, okay.
Because she had been following him for a while.
Okay.
And so, but I was just trying to solve whatever the heck that thing was. I didn't know how deep he goes into meditation about how your body can change itself, right?
Right.
And so it makes sense with You're the Placebo, but I never linked meditation and that before him, which is really awesome. Because beforehand, like you were saying, I thought it was, I'm a crazy, busy entrepreneur that needs to get everything out of her head and feel okay, because otherwise I might have anxiety or whatever the pieces are. That's why I'd meditated before. And that's what I talk to my clients about. And then I found this thing and I was like, oh, there's so much more to it than that. And that's sort of what we were talking about, right?
Yeah. And they're self-guided, aren't they? Which I I like, because I think in previous episodes I mentioned it is quite hard to just sit and just not have thoughts. In fact, it's near on impossible, and even the monks, after many decades of practice, don't do it super well, but they're far better than us. And I think I'd like to be like walking down the beach listening to meditation, and then there you were. I was out having a surf lesson and you were walking down the beach listening to a self-guided meditation where Joe got you to like ground your feet into the sand at one point, stop and just be. So I love the sound of that, because I love walking and I like being active while meditating. Do you want to like what happens in that meditation?
Oh, so that one's really interesting. So Joe has a bazillion different types of meditations. Some are shorter. This one's an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a long time. So you had a long surf lesson. So
I could a lot of ways, which is kind of meditative in itself.
So, and that's what I've heard,
Yeah.
right? Some of our friends are like, "Oh, surfing is so like that." It was funny when I was walking. Thankfully, you have your eyes open for quite a bit of it. I was looking at some of the surfers and just thinking about how amazing that is too. But what he has you do is there's quite a few different pieces to his types of meditations, and so one is a big breathing aspect normally. In the walking one, he doesn't have you do that because you look weird, like being with a whole bunch of people doing this crazy nutso breathing thing. But what he does is, as you start walking, he has you start envisioning your future and then walking as your future self. And imagining whatever happened that you want to have happen in the future as if it was a memory of the past. So you're walking and he's like talking about how thinking of this and think of that, and as you're walking you like feel like an amazing, on top of the world type of person. And then he has you sit or stand, I should say, like stop and just close your eyes and imagine the feelings that you would feel. Gratitude, joy, whatever those things are, or affirmations are, and you like literally, because your body's been so walking and energized already, like to me it goes like crazy. It makes you really feel the
You're
emotions.
in the state.
Yes, big time. And then you walk again, and it like levels up the emotional side of it, levels up the feeling of, oh my gosh, this is what I feel like in the future. Right? That confidence, whatever those pieces are. And so you're sort of stepping into what that is, and it makes it a lot more believable. So as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh, I want to speak on stage, at TEDx or, in front of 1,000 people. Where I was chatting with somebody when I spoke in the Philippines. She's like, yeah, I love crowds of 10,000 to 15,000 people. And I was like,
Wow.
I haven't done that before. 10,000 people, that's a lot of people.
Very specific.
Yeah, I know. Wow. Okay, great. She said the energy is just insane. And so then I started going, let's imagine what that would look like. I'm sure I can do it. It's just, it feels a little, that's quite a bit. And so in the walking meditation, I started bringing in some of those pieces. So when you start bringing in the pieces as if it already happened, especially the science behind meditation, have you heard the piano player thing? So they had a study where some people actually play the piano a certain number of hours per day for a specific song. Another one just did the finger exercises with no piano, right? And then the other one's just meditated on it. And they all had the same, I think this was it. They all had the same. So the people that actually meditated on it, never touched a piano, actually were just as good as the other people.
When they finally went to play the piano.
Which is insane,
I've heard
right?
a few studies around stuff like just the visioning exercise on that.
Totally.
Absolutely.
It gets your body in certain states. They even had one with shooting basketball hoops. They've had one with... Anyway, so it's really interesting to see the studies, because we are placebos, by the way, right? So we affect... Our thoughts and everything affect everything. And I think entrepreneurs need to get this better and better and better. It's not just clearing your brain. It's all those thoughts that we think determine what we actually take action on, what we actually do, all those beliefs or whatever you want to say, whether they're subconscious or not. When you start flushing those out and you start imagining yourself, like I've had a friend who hated speaking, and then he did like 100 different speaking gigs all in a row just to get over the fear and to get really good at it. Well, you do 100 of them, you'll get really good at it. Well, imagine imagining and meditating on it 100 days in a row. Instead of actually having to go do it. You'll feel and again, there might be a little bit of twinge when you do that first one, but it's going to feel so much more natural, even just the visualization of it. And I've interviewed a ton of millionaires, 400 and something millionaires. So many of them bring up visioning. It's insane. I was non-woo-woo at all. And I started going down this and interviewing millionaires. I'm like, how come everybody keeps talking about this? And then I started looking up this. I know, right? What the heck? Because I really wanted to know. Yeah. And so then I started looking up the science behind it all. And I'm like, okay, there's something to this, because I'm a sciencey kind of gal. And then I've started implementing and doing it. And I'm like, it has literally changed so many things and what I can see as possible moving forward.
You mentioned, which is amazing, right? You mentioned that it's helped you, one, be more grounded, and I even noticed that visibly in you. You said your skin is glowing. You think you look younger, like you've not aging.
Yeah.
What are some of the other benefits?
Well, there's a whole thing on epigenetics, which if you read any of Joe's books, Sleep Smarter by Sean Stevenson talks about epigenetics. So our bodies and what we feel, because this is the thing that I don't think people really understand. And again, the science is very, very new behind all this. It hasn't really come out to the general population, because if I say epigenetics, people are like, I don't have a clue what that is. But your DNA can actually turn on and off based on your environment.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And so it's not all like you were born like this and now we're like that forever. It's what you ingest, what you are doing, what you're thinking, all affects your body, which makes logical sense when you think about it, right? We are not emotionless robots. All the pieces and parts really make a difference. And so if you've seen like the president, right, go from looking really, really young beforehand, and how the heck did he age so much in such a short period of time, like the stress and the everything. And so it really affects your body. So you can do it in the opposite direction also, right? How can we change that?
Because I think I was telling you about Josh's friend Rohan, his father from England, who has been doing transcendental meditation for something like 45 years or plus. And I haven't met him, and I really want to meet him. I told you that, right? Because he is late 70s and he looks like he's in his 40s. He gets up at 5 a.m. every morning. He does 1 to 2 hours of this meditation form with the music and all the vibrations and everything. I still haven't tried it, so that's on my list. And he's apparently just super focused and onto it. Doesn't need much sleep, just incredibly aware and has energy all day. And that youth, that vitality, and that absolute solidness around what he does and who he is. You know, apparently he's also a little bit gruff and kind of ex-military, but just absolutely precise and clear on who he is and what energy he gives off. So it fascinates me, and it does make me feel that yes, you could change your state, and maybe you can change your entire DNA makeup. By the way, did you know that when you get sunburnt, you are changing your DNA? The whole science behind it, which you'd love, but I'm probably going to get a little bit of this wrong, so I'll look it up and actually write it in my show notes. But each time when you get sunburnt, your cells are exploding under pressure. And we have billions of cells, right? But they are exploding, and each little explosion is shifting and changing your DNA. So over time, you can actually change your DNA of your body by getting sunburned.
Good way or bad way, though?
Well, not necessarily. Well, I don't think sunburn's obviously good for you at all, but it's just more the point that scientists have seen that you're actually changing your DNA through that. So there must be other ways of changing your DNA.
Well, now there's switches. So when you look up epigenetics, and you'll see some of those pieces, because it's insane to read some of the studies on this. Because I didn't realize this, and I'm like,
have you got the link?
Man, I will definitely send you some, so that way you can have it. Because it is one of those things where it's such a new science, so it seems a little woo-woo to people. And it is with any sort of newer science. You're like, let's get a lot of data and a lot of facts on this.
But why? If it's working for people, I mean, I get that. I know scientists need the data and the facts, but also I just want to see it's working.
So this is what I do. I'm like, well, I'll test it.
Yeah.
And if I like it, I'll keep doing it. And if I don't like it, then I won't. And so, but there's a lot of charlatans that are like, oh, you do this thing and it's amazing, right? So that's sort of what we have to be careful of. But to me, I'll test anything. And if I like it and I see results, and that's what you were saying about him, I've become way more, and I'm a person that is always in my head in general, right? I care about the smarts and logic, and that's about it. Or I should have said I did. And so meditation has allowed me to tap in way more and not just be running around like trying to do everything head-wise, but actually tap into all parts of your body, which I never thought that your gut or intuition was a big deal until, again, I heard so many millionaires going, I went with my gut. And I'm like, wait, there's no real science behind that. Oh, I never did. No. I was a put a spreadsheet together lady. Like, if I look at all the facts, this is why I'm so science-based, because I'm like, I need something to make a decision. I would almost never go with my gut.
Gut wins every time, even with data behind.
See, but to me, I didn't get the point of gut. I thought that wasn't logic. Because it's not. When you read like the book Blink, and we realize how amazing we are as human beings, and we can make an assessment on something without even necessarily knowing the facts and data, like that book was very eye-opening to me, because I was like, oh, maybe I do know more than, logic will tell me and research and data. And so realizing that, but along with everything else, tapping into that. Because if you don't tap, you can shut yourself off big time. Most people do. I mean, most of the clients that I talk to, I'm like, what's your gut say? And they're like, I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I do it all the time. The only time that I haven't sometimes has been traveling, because I listen to my gut and instinct all the time in traveling. Like, don't go down the alley, or actually don't take that bus.
What does that feel like? How do you do that?
It's literally like a strong sensation to not go ahead and buy that ticket.
Where?
It's a good point. You do actually feel it in your stomach, and then I feel like it just triggers straight away to your brain with a no. So you have I have a voice in my head going, that's not a wise idea. It's really crazy, and I just listen to it.
So there's science now. So again, take this with a grain of salt, because I had heard this one place and I have not verified sources. But what's interesting is they were saying that it's actually your heart that is making a lot of these things, and then going to either your stomach and then your brain, and so it triggers all of them, right? So we sometimes think it's our brain first.
No, it's
and then we're
brain.
like, oh,
it's a literally decision, and sometimes your body will stop. Like sometimes it'll stop walking. Like you're not going to go down there.
Wow.
It is actually hard because it's the fight or flight response that I feel kicks in, and that is triggered by your autoimmune system and all your nerves, etc. And so I guess your heart is the thing that's beating. So if it goes like it has this moment, I know it's not.
We just don't know very much about our bodies still. Like, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But when I ask you, I'm trying to teach my children, okay, where do you feel that in your body, so that they can become more in tune? Because I was like, what is that feeling? I would never go with my gut in general.
Right.
So you actually knowing and being able to sort of say, oh, this actually works.
Yeah.
I needed all the data from all the millionaires to be like, wait, you went with your gut and it worked? Wow, interesting. It would be really interesting to ask them which ones typically go with their gut and which ones don't, and then look at
And where do you feel that in your body too?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question to ask anybody, going a bit off tangent, but how do you feel? And see what people's responses are, because if you ask a very pragmatic, logic-based person, they'll go, I am blah, 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 and I'm like, no, how do you feel?
See, okay, so this is my best friend. We were talking about this before. She had to ask me every single day. She'd go, how do you feel? And I'd say good, and she'd go, good is not a feeling. And then because I'd be like, great, I feel great. She's like, that's not a feeling. I'm like, oh, I feel, I didn't even have the words to express. I literally had one of those little cards that said all of the emotions on it, so I could go, well, it's, because I know it's not like the 10 that I know, sad, happy, blah, 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 but I couldn't find the nuances between the emotions, because I didn't think it was a big deal. Like, what does it matter?
And it does matter.
It totally does now, I know. I'm teaching my children this, but before...
Why does it matter, Jane? I sound like I'm your mum. No, but but yeah, why does it matter?
So tapping into intuition or tapping into your gut as an example, I don't know what that felt like. I was like, no, I got nothing. Not that if someone were to ask me, I wouldn't be like, I'm tapping into my gut right now. Like, that's not what I mean, but the little nuances in anxiety, or the little nuances in joy, or the little nuances in things that I just never paid attention to. And yet we can be so much more expressive as human beings if you actually know that. I had beforehand thought, if I just negate all the bad emotions and only feel all the good ones, all will be happy in my world. And it doesn't work. I mean, in entrepreneurship too, like, it don't work that way. Like, shit happens. I don't know.
It's a roller coaster.
Delete that on. But exactly, it's a roller coaster, and you have to mitigate all of it. And sometimes the crappy stuff is teaching you the most, and you have to be okay with those emotions, because if you try and negate that, you won't take the risks, even calculated risks. You just won't make the steps towards that because you're so scared of negative emotions. So it's an interesting thing.
I think a lot of people live in this state of, I'm okay, so I'm not going to show any emotions. And you were asking me the other day, do you feel you tap into that? Are you emotional? And I had my moments around my dad, because I was quite surprised I wasn't more upset or just really in that state. But I do think it's because I focus on celebrating his life. It doesn't mean I think I shut down my feelings. Like, I will have moments where I'll just cry. As I told you, I'm a big sook in movies. Like, I'll just have waterworks in movies. I feel like a lot around animals and nature. And I think I was telling you, I don't worry so much or sweat the small stuff, but I'll often think about global issues or environment or inhumane treatment of animals or people. And that stuff gets me really emotional. But I think there are so many people who are walking through life opposite of the placebo. They're taking the drugs that are numbing them.
But that's the point, right? So the placebo, the book is all about, you don't need to rely on what we think will work. One of the reasons why we take a placebo and think it will work is because people have told us that it will work, right? If a doctor, someone of high authority goes, this will work for you, even if it numbs you like crazy, you're like, oh, well, then half of it's probably the placebo effect and the gosh darn pills don't even work, you know? So it's one of those things where us knowing ourselves better, right? So if you're the type where you're like, I'm emotional in these sort of ways, and I don't need to like make myself be emotional in other ways either, but knowing yourself better makes a huge difference. So if you do get sick or whatever, trying to pay attention to what those emotions were within it and then solving that instead of going after like, I just need more alcohol or I need more drugs or I need, please doctor. Like when I injured my neck, they gave me hydrocodone and I'm like, that's a lot. Now I fractured it. It's a very, very, it's a narcotic prescription. Oh. Yeah. They gave me a lot of pills. I was kind of surprised. They gave me like 3 sets of pills. And
the United States scares me with what they give out. It's such a pill-based society.
And I was like, so how do I fix it, though? Like, yeah, it's one thing to numb the pain, and I'm okay with pain. I can handle a lot of pain. But how do I fix it? Nobody really went down that path, which sucks.
It does.
Yeah.
Western medicine is very much like immediate solution, whereas I love the Eastern philosophy around preventing it before it's even happened.
Yes, but the thing is I agree 1,000%. But because we've already gone past the point, right? So again, this is Western world, but we are sold that we can have everything right now. And this is why meditation is so important too, right? Because we are moving at a constant pace, especially entrepreneurs. We're problem solvers, and we wanted the problem solved yesterday, not today. And so a pill, sure, faster, easier, more efficient than doing the work.
Taking Panadol for my headache because I was swore the headache was just from the 4.5 hours of pampering and all the detoxing.
Poor girl.
I needed more water. I know, what a shitty life. Yeah, really fascinating. And when I was in that yoga class, that restorative yoga, which I loved, and I was having trouble with the hamstring pose, and it was really like sinking into that pose and feeling the pain, and I wanted to come out of it because we had to hold it for 5 minutes. And that's when she said, if you're challenged by this pose, you probably have issues with control, because the control that you put into your everyday life will manifest itself into basically your hamstrings. So the tightening there is the constant control or tension that you're putting in. And it was so, like, I think intrinsically you know that, but whatever we are holding, any source of tension or pain or even love, manifests itself in your body.
So that's the whole point of Joe Dispenza. The whole point completely. Huh. So yeah, that was a great little perfect loop for you, because he was a doctor.
Okay.
And he actually it was like cut his spinal cord. It was like crazy. He couldn't walk.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't want to have surgery.
Okay.
And all the doctors are like, so you kind of have to have surgery to fix this. And he's like, I'm not gonna do it. He meditated. And people were like, okay, you meditated your spinal healing. That's a little insane.
Have you done meditation before?
I don't remember.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think he must have done something. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been like, oh, I'm going to try meditation, see if this works, right?
Yeah.
He was a chiropractor, so he knew the body really, really well. But what's interesting, like you were saying, is being able to have whatever is existing in our body usually is for a reason. And unfortunately, because we're problem solvers and want to fix this so fast, we just take a pill and go, that'll be okay. But more and more instances of cancer, more and more instances of crazy stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going, what's wrong? Well, yeah, it's probably food and stuff like that too, but there's so many things that we don't understand that us taking care of ourselves, like you said, the Eastern side of things, could have probably prevented. But now we're at this tipping point where we can't see the forest for the trees anymore. And so that's why it's great that he wrote a book called You're the Placebo, because there's literally everybody going, I have a problem. Because before, who goes, I'm going to go meditate for no reason whatsoever? You're like, I have a problem, I need a solution.
Yeah.
And so being able to show people, oh, by the way, this could help this, right?
I was going to say, it sounds a bit ironic, but I'm about to say we have to take control. Or more importantly, we have to take responsibility, because things are not going to get better. We're going to have more and more technology. We're going to be more and more connected. We're going to have more and more devices. We're going to have more and more multitasking. We're going to have more and more things in our life that are causing us to live lives in a totally different way, where we don't have peace, quiet, nature, reflection, time out, thinking time, quiet time. And so we just have to. And that's why I'm so proud of you, because you are making time, because you love it, every morning to do your meditation.
And I didn't love it. Did we talk about that? Like I couldn't sit for 5 minutes.
Right.
I used to lay down because I couldn't sit up because I have the weird tailbone issue that I told you. So I couldn't sit up for that long. And so I hated the 5 minutes every single time. So I can't, so it is very much an evolutionary process. Somebody likened it to, well, I'm not going to say it, they're not going to do it. No, 10 years, right? So that being said, I learned my own process. We were talking about this before. Like, I give my clients, a lot of clients are resistant because they're entrepreneurs and logical, and they're like, my brain is way too crazy. I can't do it, Jamie. And I was like, you don't think my brain's crazy, people? Yes, it's the same. I have the same crazy brain you do. I have ADD, literally. And so when we're looking at, okay, what can you do as a first step? You talked about 5 minutes of Headspace. So that's what I usually, or whatever it is. I'm like, Headspace is great. Calm app is great. Just to sort of slowly get into that. And then I have people come back and they're like, that felt a little better. Yeah. It's like, okay, great. And then what is that next step? And what is that next step? So we talked about before, I love to, and I did this as part of the evolutionary process, is try and make my meditation efficient. So I would get all the crap out of my head.
Oh, yeah.
So that way I could feel like I could be more clear. It's the David Allen Getting Things Done, getting everything out of your head, right?
Right, yeah,
right?
Sure. I love that book.
Yeah, me too. And so I would do that piece along with having these inspired thoughts of, ooh, you know what I should do in this.
Okay, so you'd actually literally go to sit down or lie down and meditate, but then you'd have bing, 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 bing thoughts. So you'd actually then stop the meditation?
I wouldn't actually stop the meditation. Okay. It's really kind of funny. I had an eye pillow on, and I'd literally have a journal right next to me, and I'd scribble.
Oh, so you could see what you were writing.
Yeah, most of the time now. Because like all I need is when I'm done, because it was like a 20, 30-minute meditation. It wasn't a lot, but because I would do only the first piece like this, I would literally just go, and write those in Asana.
Yeah, exactly. And write them. Okay.
Yeah. Or changes of launch plans, ideas that I had. It was
all of that. You just everything. Get it out onto paper.
Get it all out, and then I would be able to clear and be a lot better. So it'd still be a guided meditation, but this is what I have my clients do, because in general they're like, I can't make it stop. I'm like, you know what makes it stop? Write all that crap down.
Yeah.
And because as David Allen talks about with getting things done, if it's still in your head, it will keep reminding it. You know, it'll keep bringing it up and bringing it up.
Like that.
But it's not meant to do that.
Calendar ever. Yeah. No, it's not.
Write that crap down. Get it out.
So there you have it. This topic of personal freedom here on the Quest for Freedom podcast continues to come back to freedom of the mind in so many respects. And I know I will continue to delve deeper into this. In the next episode, I'll be discussing personal freedom from a place of less stuff weighing you down, as in decluttering. Tune in for that one, and read the full show notes for this episode at nataliesisson.com/7, the digit. You can also sign up to get fresh, hip, and timely email updates when I release a new episode, or you can simply subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or Google Play and make my day, and hopefully make yours.